Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is lower bracket round 7. Getting towards the end of this. This is now best of 3? Best of 3. Bottom right hand corner we got StRyKeR starting as the blue Zerg. Bottom left hand corner we got Artosis starting as the yellow Terran. Artosis is a very strong versus Zerg player. And I would say his versus Terran is definitely the best in North America and maybe has contentions elsewhere. I think Gypsy may be a little bit ahead of him. Actually decent size ahead of him, but StRyKeR also very strong ZVT, and I feel like StRyKeR in particular has a play style where it's, how do I put this? If you think about kind of like a graph or a wave line, Artosis does some pretty good stuff early, so you get kind of that peak curve, and does very good in the early mid game, and then he has kind of a trail off where there's like this significant chunk that's usually around where the Zerg isn't totally dead. He hasn't got his science vessel count where he wants. He doesn't have the upgrades where he wants them to precisely in the mid game, and that's usually somewhere post 3rd or 4th hatchery, and he can linger a little bit too long before he really kicks it into gear in the late game, and sometimes will lose the bigger picture, particularly as far as the macro bit of it, because Medic Marine, very cost efficient, so sometimes he will not have the necessary. I think part of it is it's like a mental fear sort of thing where he doesn't want to have so many bases that he's defending too many of them, but honestly it's worthwhile just having them then where Zerg has to expend resources against them, because you can always just clean it up and redrop it and it's not that big a deal. But anyway, but it is attention that's taken away, and this is such an attention demanding game. But anyway, as I was getting into it, by the way, 11 hatch from StRyKeR, and he's starting to scout. Overlord's made its way top right, and Artosis is starting his scouting pattern top left. He's going for a pseudo front door seal. There's that lower edge that will be the lip to where Zerglings could potentially test the line. StRyKeR has the almost the precise same lap line, in my opinion, where he's very strong on the early game. Sometimes where he loses it is in that early mid game, where oftentimes in soft contains or paying attention to where his troops are aligned and things like that, he can sometimes get a little bit befuddled and lose track of some multitasking. But then once you start moving out into late game, he, how do I put with the curve lines, Artosis I feel like doesn't pick up as rapidly in the mid game as StRyKeR does. So I think StRyKeR typically, we'll see if this plays out, but I think StRyKeR, what ends up happening is StRyKeR survives the onslaught from Artosis. Then there will be this pause where both players are macroing up or kind of kicking it into 4th gear, 5th gear towards the later stages of the game. And oftentimes StRyKeR hits that top gear more rapidly at the ending part. That has been my impression of how this will play out. We will see if that is, I know that's a long way to go and to talk about the master of the game. That's just how I feel like I've seen a lot of Artosis matches go and a lot of StRyKeR matches go. By the way, we are seeing second racks added on command center along the way, and a gas being tacked on at 3:23. SCV's gotten scouting of the layer timing. I missed the gas timing as I was trying to describe, but knowing StRyKeR, I'm going to guess that was around 2 minutes 2:01 these days. His Mutalist micro has been absolutely fantastic, by the way. And Artosis also can have trouble against really blisteringly strong Mutalist micro, and StRyKeR definitely has that, and that can oftentimes carry the day for him. So anyhow, we'll see how this plays out. I do have to say, if you really want to see some incredible Mutalist micro defense, look at Light's recent games in the ASL, and just the little bit of micro he does where he predicts where his opponent's going to cycle in from the next cycle. Looks like losing that SCV. Zerglings making their way to the front. We do have Zergling speed actually being invested in as well. A little bit surprising. Do we have the Academy going? There's the Academy. I was about to say, where's the Academy? It's underneath this thing. Go ahead and click it back out. So it looks like it is going to be 2 racks Academy here to start. Artosis likes playing Light style, by the way. Whatever Light's doing, I feel like Artosis tries to emulate, by and large. Anyway, as best he can. As best he can. Zergling sitting on the front, StRyKeR going for that base to the top right, grabbing that second gas. I don't know if this is just what's meta at top line Zerg, or that Kudos and StRyKeR have, I think it's Kudos and StRyKeR have been opting to do this, which is to go up to 7, optionally 9 Mutalisks to harass the turret line a little bit more aggressively. Firebat dropping. We have the initial medic marines pressing out to try to force some sunken colonies. The sunken colonies look like they are being placed. StRyKeR confirming that those units are dedicating, by the way. This third base, if it was spotted right this second, is completely exposed. They're the comsat drop, which is why typically you will oftentimes not see Zord do this. Yeah, and he's repositioning to that top right. Good catch. The medic getting a little away, so a bit of free damage there. But StRyKeR is going to have to cancel this hatchery. Mutalisks being constructed. And this just shows you, honestly, I think why Artosis is so good. He knew that third base was out there, knew that he was going to get timing on it. Now the question is, how much damage does it get done? The Mutalisks making the way across. This might just be a few dead Marines. I guess that's the orientation of this build order, now that I'm recognizing it, is dropping that hatchery in a way where, yeah, you take damage, but your Mutalisks can clean up whatever was fielded much more rapidly, and I'm now starting to understand the aspect of it. I was actually wondering in early stages of this matchup why Terran weren't just swatting, why they wouldn't just move out and swat the third. That does leave a lot of damage done on these Mutalisks, however. Looks a third barracks being added on. See if Artosis... Sometimes Artosis will play on lighter barracks count and just go 3 to get a faster investment in tech. A lot of... Really respecting StRyKeR here, by the way. 4 turrets across the northern, a bunker as well, just in case. But we do have 8. No investment in +1 weapons. Do we have gas tacking on as of yet? A single Firebat did manage to sneak out on the field. It's getting chased down by that Mutalisk. Mule's trying to get what they can for free. The bunker is covering those supply depots, so getting a attack of damage done there. Could actually be that he, because of the bunker investment, he felt like he really couldn't afford that additional barracks, but he's tacking on that factory well below 7 minutes, which I like seeing. Range being constructed, +1 weapons not that far away, but StRyKeR already has position on the third gas. Has not yet grabbed that third gas though, which is surprising to me. He's starting to mine it a little bit more rapidly rather than tacking on. This is interesting. I'm wondering what StRyKeR has in mind, or if this is just a misstep. So he has dropped the Hydralisk Den. He is getting Lurker, but even with Lurker tech, yeah, going a much more, maybe he was a little bit concerned about another move out for Artosis, something along those lines, because he was very, very late. This base was up for a good minute and a half before that third gas was finally established. He's gonna sit just on the... Never mind, I was about to say he's just gonna sit on a lower Mutalisk count of 9 instead of going up to the full control group, but we do see a 10th being added on. Tech to Hive about halfway finished, Evolution Chamber on the way, and this is about what I predicted, where, okay, now we're moving into the mid game. And this is what I was talking about. So Artosis, this is early mid game. Artosis is still very ferocious at this particular juncture. You're going to see science vessels potentially out on the field. Let's see if Lurkers actually get out here in time. He's got +1 weapons. He's got +1 range. One of these days I'm actually going to define, or try to figure out and define when those timings are, by the way. Leaving a little bit of Marine stranded, but pretty good. You're looking for like a vertical line wall against the entry point of the Mutalisk, by the way. Some reinforcements getting caught. A medic nearly losing its life. Whew. But StRyKeR doing a good job slowing this down. A sunken colony dropping top right, more or less out of necessity. Another Mutalisk has been picked off. And this is giving plenty of time. This is a very rapid build order, because while all of this is being done, the Hive has completed. Do we have a second evolution chamber yet? No second evolution chamber. I really like this build order. Actually spotting both kudos and StRyKeR execution of it, and I'm wondering how Terran are planning to adjust to it down the line. Double starport up, we're waiting on that science facility. 5th barracks being tacked on. This is outside of usual Artosis and StRyKeR play. I think this is just a very strong build order as far as this meta goes, and I kind of like it. Lurkers burrowing top right, basically getting the later, going up to the 8 or 9 Mutalisks, sometimes 10 it looks like in this instance. Getting Hive Tech up a little bit more rapidly, and then playing from there. Defiler Mount just about finished, so Artosis is going to need to start thinking about third bases, things along those lines. Researching Optical Flare. I think that must have been a misclick. That has to be a misclick. That has to be a misclick. Adrenal glands on the way, consume on the way, irradiate also on the way. StRyKeR has laid a trap, is trying to bait Artosis into it before science vessels are out on the field. I don't think Artosis, yeah, right now just playing very, very safe, waiting for macro to kick in. StRyKeR in a pretty good position though. The lurkers, I think they revealed themselves. Yeah, Artosis recognizing it ahead of time and able to scoot around. Okay, optical flare is complete. I don't know how that could possibly be a factor here unless there was a random sudden tech switch to Wraith, which I would be very surprised to see. Not a massive throwaway of resources, but that is a medic or two worth of gas, or a science vessel delay, about half a science vessel's worth of gas. Actually very useful in 2v2 as a side note. Upper right hand corner, fourth gas starting to make its way. How many lurkers? So we got 4 lurkers piled on. Queen's Nest is being cleared out. Artosis losing a few Marines as he's opened that up. Oh, loses a science vessel in the corner. That was just a slight misplay. Marines checking out the 3 o'clock, not seeing anything. The Marines just trying to find whether there's any additional bases that were grabbed. Artosis really does need to start thinking about grabbing a third base himself in a hurry as he is staging up these drops. Leaving a few Marines in this pocket, using a few Marines there. Zergling's able to spot the transition towards the top right-hand corner. Science vessel count is low at 1. We do have the dropships where they can scoop up. Now, here, next question, where does Artosis go with this? Currently, we do have the Nidus Canal, by the way, here, is making his way top right with all of this. Pecking away at the creep colony on the front, just to tap on it. Plus 2 weapons about finished. Preemptive Dark Swarm and a spore colony in the front to try to drive away any sort of science vessel play. Plague upgraded, by the way, and it looks like we're moving our way to Hydra Plague. Now, dropships trying to get their way through. StRyKeR not dedicating because he was worried there's some Marines in the low ground. Artosis being very, very aggressive with his science vessel, considering how many Scourge are nearby, and he's got them spotted. Okay, they're trying to radiate the Scourge forward to open up the drop line. Lurker making his way into this. Firebat's dropping first to clear out anything underneath the Dark Swarm. Nice play there from Artosis, and now that Dark Swarm's been expended top north, driving that there, unfortunately attacked with a good portion of his army in the corner. The Hydra's trying to stay under Dark Swarm themselves, getting picked off on the edge. That Evolution Chamber or this Defiler Mound getting picked off could be, either one would be enormous. Defiler gets picked off, so this is going to stand. The Mutalisk regrouping, and they're not going to be in time to save that Evolution Chamber, however. That is a big, big hit, by the way. It's a lot of time lost. And if he can turn around and get this Defiler Mound on top of it, that would be a big, big boon. Lurker being pushed off. Looks like Artosis is grabbing the 9 o'clock. Firebat grouping up, but the Mutalisks look like they are going to be able to clear out what is left of this attack force. However, Artosis regathering. I don't know that he's going to be able to... Well, never mind. He oftentimes knows better than me in these instances, able to push through those lurkers by staggering his units. The Mutalisk just getting obliterated. Sunken Colony is now gone. We do have a Defiler and a Radiate. I think he just missed... Oh, blocking him out of the Dark Swarm. Look at this. But a half second too late. It's going to draw that back to try to get into the natural expansion, getting a lot of damage done, picking off all sorts of drones, which is effectively resetting StRyKeR back to 3 bases. Well, at least 3 gas. He's a okay saturation there top right. The medics, however, are being stranded. Artosis moving his way in to clear the Zerglings to allow the medics to escape. Got a lot of damage done across the field, but we do have that Ultralisk Cavern with 4 bases established. Science vessel count is moderate. So now I would say we have... This is that point, by the way, the reflective point I'm talking about. We are now moving into late mid-game, mid-game, or that makes any point. And this is where I start to see things shift around, and oftentimes StRyKeR will pick it up fairly rapidly. He's got 4 gas. A lot of science vessels starting to barrel in. Drop the Dark Swarm. Not going to save the Defiler because of the Firebat. Some more Lurkers making their way down. Defilers continually get picked off, but Lurkers starting to push their way out towards that natural expansion. to maintain here. By the way, the top right has been completely unmolested up to this stage. No touch at all. It's just, we got a grouping of Zerglings and Defilers just in case. +2 weapons, +1 armor. Some Scourge now able to pick off some additional Science Vessels that were leaning a little bit too nearby. And Artosis, so he's got a staged attack force there. He's moving another attack force towards the top right to see what he can get accomplished. We don't have a lot of lurkers at that position. There, Science Vessels making those two getting plagued. That's not massive. It's only 2 Science Vessels eating that plague. But the Science Vessel count is not great right this second after the previous pickoffs. Battlecruiser taking the field. That might be able to shut down this low side gas. A little bit harder to protect it underneath everything. Some Zerglings making the way forward. Is this going to be a plague from the Defiler? Dark Swarm initially doesn't have enough energy for the follow-up for a plague. It's going to end up losing its life, but that Science Vessel not retreating, and so it gets picked off as well. Ultralisk upgrades on the way. No Ultralisks have been fielded quite yet. Sorry, take it back. We got 3 Ultralisks top right. Creep Colony to preemptively defend battlecruisers potentially. Artosis doing great now. I love this. Expanding top left. This is actually, I don't want to understate that. This is I wish I had seen it a little bit earlier, but this is a big improvement on his play where there's a bit of an idle here, and rather than just kind of batting his head against a wall, he's going for the additional expansions in the midst of this. The only downside is I would have loved it if he had preserved the Science Vessels a little bit earlier and had the opportunity to continually drop to Radiates while he was also expanding in the midst of this. But like, I don't blame him. Terran's really, really hard. Really, really hard. Scourge quickly able to drop that battlecruiser to half health. I take that back to a 5th health. Defiler able to sit underneath the swarm at the very least. That was a lot of gas expended otherwise. StRyKER's Ultralisks now starting to make their way out on the field. We have +3. We do have +3 weapons. We do not have +2 armor as of yet. The +3 weapons helps with the shred. Good focus fire from Artosis, by the way, to peel out 2 of those Ultralisks. That could have gone a lot worse without that little bit of micro here. Is that battlecruiser still active? I keep hearing the shots, but I'm not sure where it... No, it doesn't look like it's active. In the meantime, Zerglings moving out towards the 9 o'clock. The 3 Ultralisks making their way top left. Command Center is going to have to float right this second before that gets cleared back out. Also, we have Defiler versus Ultralisk with some lurker support on the forward field. That Science Vessel is the only thing here, by the way. Otherwise, Artosis at a really healthy supply count. But the Science Vessel count is really the bit that's lacking. It looks like he is gonna maybe be able to defend against these Ultralisks at the 9 o'clock. Some Zerglings able to interrupt some SCVs as they're transferring top left. Looks like some Marines trailing should be able to clear that out. SCVs pulling off the line briefly to try to take out that Ultralisk, and it is racking up all sorts of kills. And Artosis is having some trouble multitasking on multiple fronts as more units are starting to stream out of StRyKER's base. StRyKER getting good disruption out of the map, and his supply count is starting to grow. Yeah, I keep hearing that. Where is it? Other people hearing it too, right? There it is. Like, where are you? Did he get repaired? No, I think this is a new battlecruiser. Fresh battlecruiser. Out here. Ultralisk able to continue to sneak into that 9 o'clock. Ultralisk is going to be able to pick off that Defiler before it's able to contribute, but there's a lot of other troops making their way in. This is the big story right here, is this 9 o'clock is currently not ending up defended. The SCV not transitioning to the top left, and Artosis having trouble microing on multiple fields. Big Plague caught the Ultralisks too, actually, so that might hurt StRyKER a bit. So plagued the battle cruisers, but the other big boys got hit as well. You can see where the micro taxation is starting to get to Artosis, where he's not maintaining that 9 o'clock, which is extremely important right this second, is drawing some troops back, actually drawing SCVs into the 9 o'clock as well, to instead of the Marines to the bottom left. Finally lifting that off, but this is as his natural expansion is light. He's got a little, well, decent saturation here at the 6 o'clock location, but StRyKER getting a lot done on 4 bases. I will say StRyKER needs to start getting a move on, because it's not going to be long before his main is starting to mine out, and critically that gas is depleted there. The natural expansion gas is not going to have that much longer to work with. Another plague on the battle cruisers on the front. Artosis looks like he's managed to get a few more troops out on the map, but his SCV count has been severely impacted. StRyKeR grabbing that 1 o'clock, trying to grab the 3 o'clock. Artosis is going to be able to whack them all down. That 3 o'clock base. But we'll see how it pans out from here. Supply counts are getting dangerously close. But I'm going to say it's not as big an issue because the gas is starting to flag a little bit for StRyKeR, and Artosis looks like he has found that 1 o'clock base. And I think he is going to be able to wipe that out before StRyKER's really able to do anything about it. The one issue for Artosis that I see is just the science vessel count. Okay, now it's starting to finally regrow. Needs to make sure that he's dropping. You can see actually StRyKER a little bit concerned now that that 1 o'clock is under fire. Starting to go aggressive and move defilers forward. This is game-winning construction right here from StRyKER. If he can get this one of these defilers with some of the Ultralisks and Lings to the forward field, that will be game. Artosis cutting off any reinforcements. But 6 o'clock is now shut down. The 9 o'clock doesn't have SCVs. We have 3 SCVs mining top left. So Artosis does need to reestablish something at these bases to get them up and running for him again, just to make sure that he maintains over the long haul. 2 spore colonies to push back BCs on that corner. Zerglings losing their lives. Do we have +2? Yeah, +2 armor complete. +2 armor, +2 claws, by the way. Firebats joining the fray. Oof. The plague really makes those Marines fragile. 1 o'clock base completes, by the way, for StRyKER. And if he can get that gas going, that would be absolutely enormous. Also, 9 o'clock command center got wiped out. I missed it. Missed everything else. Artosis trying to draw back to the high ground here. Does manage to get another irradiate, another handful. Well, 1 irradiate. 2 more available. The Ultralis just chewing away at that army. Artosis is able to cycle his SCV's top left. He's also not continued mining here at the 5 o'clock, so he's effectively mining on one very limping base. And the SCVs are sitting at 38. This is allowing StRyKER to get the supply lead, and he's critically right here capping this gas at the 1 o'clock location. However, he's about, unless he gets this 3 o'clock and gets that gas, he will be down to just 2 mining gas and effectively depleted gas behind that. If Artosis can stabilize some of his bases in the meantime, might be able to find some breathing room to claw his way back into this. But right now, StRyKER has a massive amount of resources to work with. Good irradiates on the forward field. Artosis playing somewhat risky by moving these science vessels out, especially as they're light on health. However, again, because the gas cut starting to hurt StRyKER, he's not able to get Mutalisks or Scourge the way he might want to. StRyKER recognizing he's got a bit of breathing room, starting to move Zerglings and Ultralisks top left. Artosis repivoting mid-map. He could strike at the 1 o'clock position or defend top left potentially. Looks like he's making his way to strike at that 1 o'clock position. This is a critical gas for StRyKER to hold. Defiler Plague plus Dark Swarm allowing Zerglings to claw their way in. Irradiated Ultras just sitting here in the meantime, and we got more of StRyKER's units starting to make it on the map. The SCVs are evacuating. I don't think Artosis is mining anymore. He's got 1 SCV, it looks like, 1 lone SCV mining, and 500 resources to his name. StRyKER is still getting resources in. These Scourge really want those science vessels. Ultralis coming from both ends. I think that's going to be GG, as Artosis is going to lose this attack force. His economy has petered out, and he's still got some science vessels in the air, but I don't know for how long, as there's a lot of plague right there. Ultralis also engaging. SCVs are making it to the 6 o'clock, but this is a very close attack location. Battlecruiser is able to wipe out the lurkers, but the Zerglings should be able to shuffle in. And Artosis running on sub 100 minerals at multiple. Yeah, gonna GG right there. Yep. That wasn't precisely how I called it, but that was just about... That was close to, as far as like the power curves. And you can see what I mean by kind of the matching momentum between these two guys and how it tends to work a little bit more in StRyKER's favor. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Game 1 goes to StRyKER in this best of 3. Thank you for listening.